Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Jackie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Farfan?
Here.
Commissioner Pierce is not with us this evening. Commissioner Lubes will be here, I think. And Vice Chair Davis?
Present.
And Chairperson Moda?
I am here and
Commissioner Lubes?
Nice call on your time, too. Presentations tonight. Aracia will introduce the recreation supervisor, but she's not here, so who gets to do that?
I'm going to take care of that tonight.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. We are happy to have all of our recreation supervisors here in the audience tonight. And we have Sean Green, as you know, Ryan Delgado, who's newly promoted supervisor. And then our third supervisor comes to us. He started on September 5th, so he's been with us a couple weeks. And this is Darren Ewell. And I'm going to have Darren step up here in a minute and fill in the holes. But Darren's coming to us most recently from the city of Culver City, so just up the 405 there. And he was working at the Senior Center in Culver City, which is a very robust program over there. And previously in his career, he has lots of experience just doing a variety of things. But one of the larger agencies he worked for was Clark County out in Nevada. And so if you have any questions for him on his experience, he can fill in the blanks, like I said. But we're happy to have Darren. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of experience, like I had mentioned. And one of the really great things about Darren is that a lot of us already know Darren just because of the proximity of Culver City and El Segundo, and we've done a lot of networking with Culver City over the last few years. Darren sits on the board of our District 9 California Park and Recreation Society, and he represents the aging services section of that organization. And Ryan Delgado also serves on the board. And so, like I said, we've known Darren for a little while. We're happy to steal him over here to our team. And I know Culver City is probably has a void over there. But Darren, you want to come up and say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. My first 2.5 weeks have been just awesome. Staff is so positive and hardworking, and I just feel lucky to have been invited to be a part of this team. That's how I'm feeling.
Thanks, Darren. So Darren is located at the clubhouse, actually. He's taken on a new role over there at the clubhouse, and Ryan Delgado is at the Joslin Center. So if you need him, feel free to reach out.
Thank you and welcome. Oh, okay, the next presentation, Recreation Supervisor Sean Green and Ryan Delgado will review summer programs and activities.
It's just going to be me stepping up. Sean will be doing our Celebrate presentation afterward. Up, Dan? We had quite a busy summer. I hope all of you were able to attend some of our events, but we had a very fun, very busy summer. We had a lot of new programs, a lot of new camps, throwing some Centennial Spice, and we were very busy in the city of El Segundo. All right, so we started our summer off by wrapping up our co-ed 7-on-7 soccer league. Tyler Fuji, the specialist, has done a really, really good job of growing all of our leagues. We had 13 teams with 170 participants, and we wrapped up the league on the Tuesday prior to summer starting. Summer started for us on June 8th. So Tyler wrapped up that league right before the Campus El Segundo project got underway. That same week, co-ed adult softball started. Tyler had a very jam-packed season. He had 30 teams. They were going Monday through Thursday nights. Everyone was out there, and they just wrapped up the city championships with Beach Mex winning. And then Tyler's summer basketball team, or basketball league, he had 12 teams in it, 137 participants, a really good season. And the bottom picture on the left is several of our staff members. They put together a team and participated, and they were actually the league champions. So that's them celebrating. And then the second half championship is going to be wrapped up tomorrow night at El Segundo High School. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. Our farmers market, we had 10 weeks of summer fun at the market. Each Thursday had a different theme throughout, whether it was Aloha, comic book, where they all dressed as superheroes were out there, Spider-Man, Superman. And they had a hoedown one evening where they're playing some country music and a bunch of different themes, get people out. Farmers market was really well attended. We had about an average of 950 people out there each week. And then some of the highlights this season were stone fruits, some of the berries, different fruits and veggies. And then I also wanted to say we have a new market manager, Anthony Cantu. And so he stepped into that role. He's working with Darren, and they have some really good ideas to keep spicing the market up throughout the year, get some different bands, different entertainment act, and try and continue to grow that each Thursday.
Year to year, is that working? From year to year, are you seeing the same vendors coming back? Are they making enough money to come back year after year, or do you have to replace them?
From what I was hearing with Anthony, and many of the vendors are returning vendors. Some of them will be seasonal depending on what they're growing. So that's kind of like with the berries and the stone fruit. Peach season kicked in, so you see a lot of the peach vendors start popping up kind of June, and then, peach season's kind of wrapping up, so you'll start seeing more of the apples, he was saying, come back. I guess they're getting ready for a big apple crop, is what he was telling me. So if you want to laugh and grab an apple, feel free.
But it sounds like, generally speaking, there is enough traffic that the vendors are making money and wanting to come back. They're not
No. We're not having, like one of them, Ty Tiffany, she has been with us for 5, 6, 7 years, and she has been out there serving her delicious food. One of my stops. Next was Bye Bye Birdie. This was the last production for longtime director Elisa Tyson. This is the drama department's big production, which they hold at El Segundo High School. It's a combination with the junior and senior performers. And the show dates were August 4th through August 6th, and then the 11th to the 13th. That's at the auditorium at the high school, so they really do a good job. They go big on the sets. Everything looked really, really nice. All the shows were well attended, and reception was the feedback from the community was good on the productions. And we will be having a new director. Her name is Natalie Kahn. She'll be producing the Junior Variety Show, which will be coming up in October. Natalie Kahn. And aquatics. We started off with our Slide into Summer event. That was the Friday evening. We have a big inflatable slide that we put out for all the swimmers and participants to come along, and it's our way of kind of kicking off summer at the pool with a fun rec swim. We had very good attendance that night. We had about 90 swimmers, which with the high school graduation and middle school graduation going on, because some of the dates were adjusted this year, I think 90 is a really good turnout considering the other events going on in the community. The next event we had on July 14th was really fun. We did a Pirates of the Plunge night and a dive-in movie. We showed Hook, and we had a cannonball diving contest off of the diving board. We had different age brackets, and we had parents, adults, kids, everyone which way or another. We had 4 different winners, and we had some medals and coin-wrapped chocolates that we gave out to everyone. So that was a really, really fun night. The staff and everyone in attendance really enjoyed themselves. And again, another good turnout with about 94 swimmers. We also ran 6 weeks of swim lessons, which included group lessons, private lessons, adult and adaptive. Majority of those were all sold out. We had over 600 participants in those, and swim lessons were doing really, really well. Hilltop Pool, our seasonal pool, was open. I'm sure you guys knew that Acacia Pool was closed this summer for some maintenance, but Hilltop saw a lot of people through the doors. I didn't get you the average day attendance, but we had about 3,300 through Hilltop doors. So Hilltop was well attended.
Do you feel that the Acacia people from the west side of town were coming over to Hilltop? Just
Acacia's on a little slower, but there is some of the groups. Acacia's heavy on the rentals, so there was more rental activity towards Hilltop. But on the weekends, our numbers, there was an uptick definitely in the numbers with it being closed.
Yeah, so Acacia had larger numbers than previous years.
But
possibly from that, but it could be the rentals as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then a new program which was really go ahead. Okay. New program which was really fun was drop-in log rolling. We've been doing a youth log rolling class, and we started kind of just, my idea was to put that out there, get the kids going and try and draw interest from the parents. And once we had some parents in the building asking us like, hey, how do we get on that log? That's when we knew it was time to do some drop-in log rolling. So we're doing that Tuesday, Thursday evenings, and then Sunday mornings at our drop-in water polo. And it's kind of getting a little bit of crowd, and it's really fun. It's a great workout, great exercise. I personally have gone down a few times with some friends and done it, and you laugh, you fall, you get back up.
Do the rules allow pushing?
No pushing. No pushing.
No physical?
Oh, nothing physical.
Meredith had mentioned that Acacia would take about a year in construction. Is that still on schedule to be able to open at the beginning of summer next year, or is that going to eat into the next year's summer? You're not sure?
We don't know yet.
Too early?
Yeah, it's too early to tell, and Public Works will keep us posted along the way.
Still the goal, no matter what.
Right.
And then we move on to the El Segundo Teen Center. The Teen Center, I guess one last one with the plunge. What I meant to say was we also had a bit of a filter issue this summer, and we were supposed to close. One of the events that I was personally looking forward to was our Underwater Family Photo Day. I do a lot with my GoPro snowboarding, so kind of wanted to bring that down, and we did some test pictures, and they were great. But unfortunately, we did have that filter issue, so we are looking to bring that event back in the winter. But the El Segundo Teen Center also had a bit of a full slate this summer. Their three big events are the golf tournament, which they do working with El Segundo High School football. It's a fundraiser that goes towards trips and programs at the Teen Center, trying to keep everything low cost. And then they will partner with the high school to keep up with uniforms and keep some of the high school programs low cost. So that was really well attended this year. There was some really good sponsorship. We had about 75 golfers at that event. 3,500 raised for programming, which at the Teen Center goes a long way towards a snowboard trip and other fun activities. And then we had our Gabbett basketball tournament, which is our 4-on-4, stands for Grand and Arena Basketball Invitational Tournament. We had 10 teams, 40 participants out there. Another fun week. I'm on the other end of it. I was always up at the Teen Center listening to all the music, but now I'm down at Joslyn getting to hear all the fun. So sounded like they had a really good week, and staff still remains undefeated in the All-Star game against the participants. And then another fun event that the Teen Center did was they held a skate contest on a Friday in June, and they had some really good sponsorships. Globe, Carver, and Dogtown have come out and really supported the skate park. They had stickers, hats, skateboards, wheels. Everyone who came out and skated walked away with a prize that day. So that was a really cool one, and some definite thanks to those sponsors. Our summer camps. We added my notes. So we had 7 new summer camps. One of the ones that two of the camps that were very successful on the newer end was the aquatics camp and the Tiny Tots. There was 3 additional weeks of the Tiny Tots which sold out. That's the Tiny Tot group down there in that lower right picture, and the staff was busy. Those younger guys give them a run, but I'd see them running around the park having a good time, chasing butterflies, and They did some scavenger hunts. So Tiny Tots was very, very successful. Aquatics camp, we had, I believe it was 45 is where we capped that number at, but they kind of learned some basics into water polo. We found some really fun things, this thing called an inflatable. It's a inflatable bull riding. You hold on the edge and rock it back and forth, but the kids really, really had some fun in the water. They learned some games, some splash ball and things that they might not even pick up on. But, you know, just trying to get them, hey, you can come here and have fun in the water. There's a little bit for everyone. We offered, that'll be on the next slide. But we had a large jump in attendance in our camps as well. We were up 350 participants this year, and we offered 24 camps by our rec staff, 33 camps with contract instructors. In a 10-week period, that is quite a bit to take on. So we threw the full gamut at the community, and they participated, they joined, they had some fun. Football camp, archery, basketball, you name it, they were out there. So our camps have done a really good job, and Linnea Palmer has done a fantastic job taking that on. And then these are our special events. The events this summer were quite fun, quite big. So that top left picture is 4th of July, kind of as everyone's getting in and settling down right before we get the music going in the band. And then those other 3 pictures were from our Chevron Carnival. So get into some special events. Sean Green ran our concerts in the park. We had 4 concerts. They were all Centennial themed. We went with a 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s theme. You were encouraged to come dressed up, participate in some hula hoop contests, do some crafts, and they gave out some prizes to community members. I know some of the seniors at Joslin, they like to give me updates, and one particular gentleman, Chuck, was coming in, and the Wonder Elves were on his mind for a couple weeks after that. So it was well received from the community. Seemed to have a great time, and again, attendance was really good. We had about 1,200 people out there at each concert, and Bill Ruane and Chevron, brought it and brought some crafts, and they really helped out with that event. Those events. This is kind of my personal favorite day, 4th of July. It's a long one, but it's a great one. Our daytime activities were very jam-packed. We had over 20 community groups out there selling food, the confetti eggs that get smashed on my head as I walked around. We had water balloon, pie eating contests, different games, Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club. It's a really nice daytime event where all the community comes out and makes that happen. 3 o'clock, once we transform the field and we open it up for the evening activities, we had the Main Street Band performing on Stevenson Field, played some nice classic rock, seemed to enjoy. And then, of course, we had our Big Bang finale, which I misspelled up there. Big Band, but we'll get past that. And then just a couple of those pictures on the right. The one on the lower right was kind of our finale. Took a little bit to get to, but it was quite memorable. Family campout. This was a really fun event that I got to participate in for the first time. Our specialist, Neil Von Flew, who has moved on, did a really, really great job of putting this event together. He gets quite a bit of sponsorship from Bill Ruane. Groundworks Coffee came out and provided pastries, food for everybody. People come down on Saturday about 4 o'clock, pitch their tents, find their space. Staff members cook them hot dogs, veggie burgers. We have chips out there. It is quite the event. And once everyone gets some food in them, put the big screen, we played a movie, we had some roasting of marshmallows. It was a really, really fun event, and again, very well attended. All of Stevenson Field was covered in tents, kind of tent city for the day, and that was Neil's last day with us, so he had a really good time. That was his personal favorite event. He did a really good job putting that one together. And then this was on our last day of summer. Chevron has their employee picnic on the Saturday. And this being our centennial year, we partnered with Chevron, and with their sponsorship, they held on to 5 rides for us. We had the Caterpillar coaster, the Roundup, a Ferris wheel. We had the Mega Loop, which was quite loud and going throughout the day. And then I think we had the merry-go-round was the last one. And with that event, again, we had some community groups out there selling, raising money for their groups and their events. We did three-legged races. We had water balloon toss, egg on a spoon races, and it was a really, really nice day, really good day to wrap the summer up. And again, another really well-attended day with about 1,500 people out at the event. And for my finale, this was kind of our big bang finale. But the finale, one of the things I love about the 4th of July is I always generally get to kind of, communicate with the fire techs in the group and see where they're at. And, I know there was a bit of a delay in the show this year, but those guys were working hard, and it's like Christmas lights. They had one issue and everything else kind of goes down. But once they got it up, and perspective I had where I was, that was one of the more memorable shows I've seen in town. Any questions or anything?
Thank you for the presentation.
You guys very
Anybody?
much.
Go ahead.
Only congratulations and thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, we will go with the informational presentation about Celebrate, a fireworks spectacular centennial celebration event on October 7th, 2017.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good to see you guys. I haven't been here in a while, so it's nice to see everybody. All right, so I'm sitting here and I've been doing this presentation for a couple days, and I'm trying to figure out how exactly to explain how grand and big this thing's going to be. I don't want to understate how much work and how big this thing is going to be. So with the Centennial Committee, over the last, I feel like 18 months or so, year, we've been hearing about the project. I'm sure Jeff has been working on it a lot longer than that, but we're going to be playing a show on the front of the high school, the facade of the bell tower, with some fireworks and a light show on Saturday, October 7th. So let's see if we can give you some information about Celebrate this year. So I wrote Concerts in the Park because it has a little bit of a Concerts in the Park feel, but I do want to make sure it doesn't seem like it's exactly like our Sundays during the summer. It's more of an entertainment day, so we started about 3 o'clock. We'll start blocking off some streets earlier than that, but we will have the showmobile in Library Park, and we'll have some different, we'll have 2 bands, and then we'll have a comedian and a musician, and then the other one that we thought was pretty cool, Rachel, one of our specialists, found the chairman of the board, varying different juggling and chairs. It was a pretty cool video, so it's something that I'm really looking forward to, something different we really haven't done at our other normal events throughout the years. And then obviously with this being such a unique event, we're going to have the blanket start at about 2 o'clock. So we're working on all that stuff, trying to get signage and different things. So that's the day portion of the event. So this is kind of a picture of what it's going to look like. Jeff's been just recently getting some videos out, so we'll get you guys some of those links. For me, I describe it like I went with my wife to California Adventure, and it's that Anastasia, like over the water there. That's how grand and big this thing's going to be. It's a 15-minute show. You don't really get perspective until you see kind of the lead up and the videos that he's put together. But the big show starts at 7:30 that evening. Obviously, it's produced by Jeff and many, many other people. There's a big band that's played, and the scores written by and sung by Jason and Nolan Livesay. Again, like I told you guys, the biggest thing is it's a history of our town. So Mattel and different things. I don't want to give out too much, but lots of things that have happened in town, Chevron and different things like that. So it's a commemoration of 100 years for El Segundo. So lots of great video and lots of cool lighting and different things. The fireworks show I'm hearing is 3 times as big as our normal show in a 15-minute for our 4th of July. So pretty excited to see that. So it's quite a bit of fireworks on top with a lot of animation and the show as well with the video. So 3-inch shells, so they're going to be a little lower than 4th of July, so we can get a really good viewing from kind of Library Park where a lot of the seating is going to be. So a lot of the fireworks are shot off the roof, and then there's going to be kind of scissor lifts and kind of strategically placed fireworks within the campus. And a lot of the video and the lighting will be in front of, like on the front lawn of the entrance of the high school. So, you know, a big thing with events like this is we just don't do these very often. Maybe 100 years from now we'll have something else. So we spent a lot of time really kind of getting this information ready so that we can get to the public where you want to be seating if you want to see something. So there's three ways to view it. It's kind of hard to see on there, but it's, you know, red obviously is really a bad seat. Yellow is kind of an obstructed view. That green area is kind of a little bit of the best view. And then obviously we have a VIP section that I'll talk about a little bit as well that's directly in front on Main Street, directly in front of the facade. So you'll see it kind of the best from there. You know, for us, there's blanket seating in Library Park. There's standing room only kind of on Main Street, kind of like that California Adventure feel, like we're all going to have everyone standing on Main Street. And then obviously the VIP section there. So a lot of different components, but that's kind of the overview of where kind of Jeff and his team have kind of figured out where it's best for everybody to kind of see the show. And so we can get that out to people as they come up so they know where to go sit if they want to see, obviously with trees and stuff, they can kind of work through that. So that's kind of the best way to see it. So some information about the VIP section, obviously right in front of Main Street, or right on Main Street, right in front of the facade. The best place you're going to see it. So it's 10-seat tables, big round tables. There'll be $35 a ticket. If you want to buy a table for 10, it's $400, so you can guarantee yourself with your family or friends. We can, you know, as it says there, we have it on the website. Probably sold about half so far. We have 300 right now available, so we probably sold about 150 or taken up. So I think in the next couple of weeks, we're really going to see a lot of, once these videos start getting out, people are going to really kind of get excited about this. So again, we'll have some VIP parking there. You'll get every 4 tickets, you'll get a parking pass. So I can kind of show you some road closures on the next one, but we'll go there. We're having Richmond Street between Palm and Mariposa be kind of where we're going to have VIPs, vendors, all those handicap, different things, and then the library parking across the way as well. And then the handicap we'll do on Mariposa. So I can kind of show you a visual on the next one, but that's kind of the VIP feel and all those things that go into the VIP. And then the last slide for me is the road closure. So this is kind of the street map. Again, we do so many events through the year that there's so many things that kind of moving parts is kind of interesting. Like I'm working 40 hours a week with Ryan on stuff, and it's like to kind of see a presentation like that, it's kind of crazy how much stuff we're doing. This event in particular, we spent a lot of time working with a lot of different people. Jeff and his people doing the show have spent a year and a half, but you know, Sergeant Gill at the police department, the street department, myself, the public works, Joseph and his guys, Meredith, the Centennial team. There's a lot that's went into this and just kind of making the best game plan we possibly can. So it's a rough layout. You know, like I said, we're going to have Richmond Street blocked from Palm to Mariposa. And then we'll have this parking lot down here in the bottom, the parking lot on the Mariposa and Main corner there will be some more VIP, handicap, vendor parking as well. And kind of the blue right there by the high school in the corner of Main and Mariposa on the other side of the street is handicap. So the whole entire high school will be blocked down. It'll be like 4th of July. The park is kind of locked down. It'll be the same thing. The whole entire campus will be locked down with our staff, keeping everybody out with the fireworks show. So yeah, if you have any questions, spent a lot of time leading up to it. We're all excited about the great event that's going to come up. It is definitely going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, you know, let us know if you have any questions, and hopefully you guys can go out there and buy those tickets for us.
Thank you. Anybody? Great presentation. Thank you. That's all I see in presentations. And we'll move to public communications related to commission business only, and that is within the subject matter under the jurisdiction of the commission. Anyone? Step right up to the mic here and state your name.
Hello, Commission. My name is Jeff Tiddens. I'm president of the El Segundo Inline Hockey Association. And I know it's not on the agenda today, so it's something that's probably going to be tabled a little bit. But as you guys know, there was $70,000 put aside for renovation of the rink this year. Nothing's been started on it as of yet, and I know you guys have kind of other things going on right now. So we understand if it's something that we're willing to kind of let those things get taken care of and focus energy on that so that we can make sure that ours is done correctly when there is time to fulfill the needs of the rink renovation. As you guys know, it was built approximately 1989 was when it officially went in. El Segundo Inline Association actually drew the money to put it together, and it really hasn't been renovated since. Sean's done an amazing job working with me, and since he started, and overall just the recreation committee, working to replace things, making sure it stays safe. But it's getting more and more difficult, as probably Sean can attest to keep it in operating fashion where we're not getting kids injured. This season alone, if you go down to the rink, you'll see the fence is bent in, the boards are broken. If you look at half the players' jerseys, they have tears right at their shoulder lengths because they're getting caught on the fences. Luckily, we were able to take care of that midway through the season. Not as many tears, but it's still getting worse and worse. As you guys know, box lacrosse plays there. We have multiple other leagues that go there. The roller girls play there as well. And we love having everybody out there, but everybody takes their own impact on it. So what we've done is really put together a list of things that we really want to see done in terms of importance. And I do have a paper here I can leave with you guys to look at afterwards. But it really kind of shows where that $70,000 can be spent best in terms of the rink to make sure that it's done accurately. And then as Sean and I have been talking, and also with the recreation crew, is really just making sure it's spent in the right way. Whether it's all on the boards, all on the fences, those are the biggest priority. And then it's constantly wet, so figuring out the south end, how we can make that better. It's been an issue since it was built. We have a few ideas of how we can make it better, and hopefully that can be put into that $70,000 budget. So with about half a minute left, I'll leave that, but I'll leave these here. And of course, Sean knows how to reach me, and if anybody has questions, we want to be a part of it, be partners with you guys to help. And we have a lot of experience in hockey, so if there's needs for reviewing contractors to do it, we have enough expertise to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean, I'm sure you're going to take care of that, and I know you will. Thank you. Anybody? Okay. Anybody else? We'll close public communications. Move to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the Recreation Parks Commission regular meeting of August 16th, 2017.
I had one small change on page, I think Meredith didn't say it this way. It mentions in Meredith's report that she mentioned that the city council would do a final vote on Top Golf on September 5th, but I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's what she said. She said they will be voting on to see if it moves forward. I wanted to have that one clarification. It's the only thing I found. Other than that, I move approval.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's 4-0. Okay, new business. Consideration and possible action regarding a request from El Segundo High School Cross Country to host a cross country meet on Wednesday, October 18th, 2017, and operate outside the youth sports athletic field facility use and allocation policy to host an event that is not sport-specific on Stevenson Field. Recommendations: approve the request to hold the El Segundo High School cross-country meet, or 2, alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. Who will be speaking on this?
I can give you the brief rundown and let you know who's in the audience here who you, may be able to answer any more detailed questions. But we have, Sean's been working with El Segundo High School. As you know, we have a joint use agreement with them, and we like to partner with them in different activities related to athletics and the usage of our facilities. But last year was the very first year that El Segundo High School was able to host a cross-country meet here in town. Typically, they've gone to meets that are hosted in other cities. So last year, they came to us and really worked out a nice plan to get the distance that they needed in utilizing recreation parks. And it goes around different pathways and around the park and through loops. And I think they run about 3 miles, 5? 2 3/4 miles. So this is the head coach here, I believe, here with us tonight. But they've come back this year and said that last year was really successful. I know that we were all out there last year watching the runners come through the park, and it was really exciting. We do have the policy that Stevenson Field is typically a baseball-only field, and that's why we're in front of you tonight, is to let you know the impacts of this event on Stevenson Field. Joseph can probably speak to any sort of turf impacts from the runners going through the outfield of Stevenson Field. And the details of the event are Wednesday, October 18th, from about 1:30 to 4:30 p.m.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions. Obviously, you've already checked all the times. We know that we got archery coming on at 4:45. We have baseball coming on after, and knowing that the way staff handles everything, it'll just run smoothly. You agree? Good. Can I have you come up to the mic just for a second, please? No. You don't have to apologize for anything. Thank you for coming, and we appreciate you coming here. And I just want to ask you, how did it go last year? I know she told us it went great. Were you happy with the course?
Yeah. Just to kind of clarify, actually, El Segundo back in like the 60s and 70s used to run cross-country meets when we had the program initially back then, but it was like through streets, city streets. So this was a big jump for us, and it was nice for us to be able to have something that we could host as a school, to give a kind of a source of pride for the kids to have a place to showcase their races. Typically, just to give you perspective, we have to drive an hour, 2 hours to most of the meets that we go to. Went to Norco twice this weekend just to go have our kids run, which was fun. They did really well, but it's nice to have something close to home. So younger kids can see it to maybe inspire them to try to run too. Parents don't have to make the trek. Classmates. So it went really, really well. It was a phenomenal time. It was actually probably one of the more unique courses that we ever run because it goes through a beautiful little park, and it's a lot of fun. So it went really well.
Excellent. Guys, go ahead. Any questions?
Being you're coming up on your second, is this your ultimate goal for this event, or are you looking to see like a bigger course? I know that it seems like when I looked at the course last year, it seemed to do a lot of overlapping and a lot of hard turns, and maybe not necessarily what most courses are. Now, granted, it might be fun to look at as you're going through, but is this your ultimate goal? Is this specific track, or is this the first step that you can see?
If I'm perfectly honest, and I've talked to Sean about this, this is, as far as a league course, would be great just to have it reoccurring every year. It does have some, obviously, not fundamental flaws, but things that would be a lot nicer to have as far as just more open space and not having to overlap. But it works, and it does something for us. And our league likes it, too, because before we'd have to double up at Kenny Hahn do twice there and then once in Beverly. And so it's nice to have that contrasting courses. Ultimately, what would be nice I'd like to have an invitational at the golf course one day. That'd be a really great thing as a fundraiser for the program, for track, because I took over track this year, too, track and cross country. But to host a South Bay Invitational there would be an ultimate goal of mine moving forward. Not tomorrow, not next year, but looking forward if this goes well for the next couple of years. But that would be a nice goal to have if it works out.
I love that goal. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, last year with the different terrains, there were concerns with safety, no tweaked ankles, nothing crazy.
No, it worked out pretty well. The only concerns we really had going was, I believe, some of the spots where you had curbs. Kids had to kind of go make their way over curbs. But we did a good job of making sure that they could see those beforehand. Those are some of the things you encounter anywhere on a cross-country course. We're running a course next weekend where you have to jump over hay bales, so it's truly cross-country. I know, it's a unique sport in its own right, but it's interesting to see.
My only comment, Meredith, is if this does become an annual, I know that the Little League comes every other year, and a lot of sports do that every other year where they come and they go, ask for permission to go against policy. But if this is an annual, should we consider modifying it to allow one per year so that they don't have to come every year? Just a comment I'd make for consideration over the next year. I mean, I know this took for a long time to get the policy together, and I don't want to mess that up, but if it's an annual thing, maybe we put an asterisk in there and say one cross-country event per year or something. I don't know. Just a comment. Other than that, yep.
Yeah, and going back to the goals, we use Stevenson as, you're asking for a small spot on it. And if we look to the long term, I think, necessarily not always putting more on Stevenson as we have, but finding you something that's more optimal. And when you talk about the golf course, I'm sure it's going to impact all the talks we have with golf course, and I don't even want to really get towards that. But I love the idea of you've got a goal to go a little bit better, a little bit higher, and a little bit more. And at some point, maybe utilizes some other areas within the city that we can, send them around. So it's not always necessarily Stevenson, but, I like the goal of going and having something where you guys could call your own.
Yeah, that'd be something that every year where we could have it, like, talking about it.
For this year, absolutely. But I think as we go forward, maybe we look at something that's better suited to your needs.
Sure.
The El Segundo Cross Country Chevron Invitational.
Hey.
Could have the whole thing inside their boundaries and have no closures or anything.
When we run around the factory, we think about that. Like, will they let us do that? Like, no, they're not going to do that. But you never know. Dare to ask, I guess, yeah. But that would be a great goal, ultimately, every year.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Any discussion?
That's all I had.
Okay. Well, I'd like to move approval to allow their request to host it on Stevenson Field or run through Stevenson Field. So,
second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 4-0. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Marcos. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Okay. We are moving to reports. Reports of subcommittees. The Aquatic Subcommittee. Do we have a report tonight?
Well, just on the forward progress, right now, South Bay Sports Health and Recreation is still fine-tuning the pavers and the donor wall. We're looking for, I believe it's Skinsler to come back with final renderings. We had some budget discussions, and we may be changing some of the thoughts we had from our last meeting. So those should be coming back to us very shortly as they kind of work out the total dollars and where we fall in the actual funds for that. There's been some talk of having another meeting very shortly in regards to the programming and how it's going to be run. I think one of the sticking points right now is we're about 10 months out from taking possession of it, and it's getting to be crunch time. So I think that's what we got. Do you have anything to add, Meredith?
No, I think you said we're trying to get something on the calendar here with the Aquatic Subcommittee in the next week or so. And we plan to be in agreement so that we can go to City Council with a recommendation on getting those staff in place soon.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next one, Golf Course Subcommittee. Is there anything?
There's nothing to report, and I spoke with Meredith right before the meeting, and she said there's no movement from her end either.
Okay. Thank you.
Real quick on the golf course. Should current plans fall through, is there any backup plan for that facility? If Top Golf wasn't to go in?
If Topgolf does not get approved, I think the consensus among the council and what I've heard from them is that likely they would look to have some sort of RFP process to figure out what's next.
Thank you.
Okay, Youth Sports Council. We have nothing going on, so we're good with that. Thank you. And department staff reports. RC is not here tonight. Recreation Superintendent. Will somebody be taking care of that?
We have quite a few people who can answer any questions that you might have in her report. I think the big thing that Recreation is working on right now is the Celebrate event, and that's going to be taking up a lot of our time over the next 2 weeks, making sure that everything's set up properly and that the residents are properly notified of how to best enjoy the show. Anything to add? Go to the microphone.
Sorry. I had Mr. Lubes as a teacher and just learned to yell loud. Tomorrow in tomorrow's edition of the Herald, there'll be 7,500 delivered to the home, and we'll have an insert in there that has the Celebrate flyer as well as some of the seating and information for the concert. So that's on the Celebrate push. That's going to be delivered to, I think it was 7,500 homes tomorrow. And so then as well on our social media, there's some of that information that'll be out there as well.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. Joseph Casillas, Acting Park Superintendent. Anything for us tonight?
Yes. Yes. We have a new parks worker, Travis Morris. Started on Tuesday, 9/5/17. Travis comes from the city of Santa Clarita and brings a strong background with athletic sports field and maintenance. I tested him out with the AYSO fields, had him paint them perfectly square, did an outstanding job, so expressed a lot of knowledge with baseball too. So I'm going to have him start renovating the Little League field for us. Staff has completed the El Segundo Police Department new training wall at Constitution Park, the joint training wall which Manhattan Beach and El Segundo PD use over at Constitution Park. Staff provided support items for the police and fire pancake breakfast. I heard there's a good crowd out there. Enjoyable time. AYSO soccer began their regular season kickoff this month. It's going to go until December. Girls softball has started fall ball at Rec Park and Richmond Field. Kickball began their regular season this month at Rec Park. Tree report. The following trees are scheduled for tree trimming by West Coast Arborists. We just completed the east 100 and 200 block of Grand Boulevard. We did a crown reduction. They were really top heavy. Cut them back. They look really good. The second, they're going to be at Concord Street on heading from El Segundo Boulevard to Mariposa. That is completed as of today. The City Tree Division has scheduled tree trimming along Main Street from El Segundo to Mariposa. So they've been starting that. So hopefully they'll be completed by the end of the week or 2 weeks. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Department Director's Report. Meredith.
Skip Dan. Dan has something special.
I apologize. Dan, O'Toole, El Segundo TV Manager. That was on me. Thank you.
That's okay. We have quite a list of things. Rather than go down the list, if you go to El Segundo TV on YouTube, you can see all our videos new. And we also have some promos coming out for the Celebrate also that we'll be having on our channels and on there. We have a media workflow. What I've done here is our division is our primary strategic goal has always been public outreach through visual communications. We're kind of a unique division that way. So I've always believed a good visual communication design is mainly based on measuring, how comprehensive the message is to the audience. What I did is I took this meeting as part of our public outreach, and I did a little short 40-second video on it, and we thought we'd try something to show you how visual communication can work on its simplest form. It's only 40 seconds. Yeah. It's user-friendly.
Testing council chamber 1 2 3. Testing audio 1 2 3. Testing council chamber audio 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Audio test. Good.
That sounds good.
Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission.
So the practice here for this video here was it was a 40-second video. It had no graphics, it had no voiceovers, music, or anything in it. And I should learn to use a mic. So it was at its simplest form of communication, but I'm thinking with the kind of the workload that we're seeing, we've always been quality over quantity, but right now all visual communications, it has to move and be communicated that way at all avenues of the city. Look at even newspapers now are having visual moving video on all their websites and their newspapers. So what I was trying to do here is show an example of how we can start to maybe making messages more comprehensive and stuff to the public just by simple little 40-second things that you do with moving video.
Really cool. So are you saying that this is the first taste? You're going to potentially have a series of 40-second visual pieces that on various topics? Are you just starting down this path? Tell me more.
Okay.
If you can.
Yeah, what we do at the end of every year, our fiscal year starts, of course, October 1st, and I kind of see where the communication's being. We get to know what our budget's going to be, what staffing's going to be. We see how many requests we've had. We've getting a lot of requests just for the simple communication things like inserts in the PowerPoints. Can you put this on Facebook? Can you put it on this? Rather than going the old school model where we do a lot of production value and everything like that, what we're looking at is now finally the tables have flipped. It's always been quality over quantity, and now it looks like quantity is going to rule over quality because you look at it, you got the message, next. And that next is what we're going to be looking at this year. So we're going to try to start. The name of this is a little series I'm kind of starting up. It's going to go across a lot of different things, but it was tech spec. So what it's going to do is show the behind the scenes of the things that you see every day that you don't think about. Simple things like when he's talking about cutting trees and stuff like that, when they're doing the Celebrate. There's a lot of stuff that goes underneath that you don't really have to make a full documentary about, but you can just show some of the people at work, and it kind of explains what they do, and you kind of get an idea of the scope.
Cool. Thank you. Is this your own idea? Where does this come from?
Just out of my head. No.
Yeah?
I took a look at the list of the requests, and then you look at the amount of stuff you have. We turn out a lot of programming, but the legacy stuff and everything, event coverage and everything like that will continue. But what we'll be doing is changing the model a little bit to make it more, almost like, I don't want to say YouTube because that's old too, but it's Instagram style where you just have a lot of people with a lot of different equipment just documenting what people are doing, and then less the production value on the back end, so we can almost by a third go up on quantity.
Interesting. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much,
okay.
And sorry that I missed you. Let's try this again. Department Director's Report. Meredith.
Thank you very much. You have some of the updates of some of the major projects going on in the written report. Obviously, the ongoing project is Campus El Segundo right now. There's a lot of talk about, wondering and speculating when the project's going to be complete, and we just don't know right now. And, we ran into a 3-week delay because of the soil conditions, things like that are unforeseen. Obviously we cannot predict, and we hope that it'll be done. Public Works is telling us that mid-October right now, but we hope and anticipate that it'll be done a little bit sooner than that because our crews have doubled over the last few days. They're probably going to be working on Saturday. So things like that, we'll just, keep monitoring and keep the groups updated. And I know that's not, the answer that people want to hear. And Sean's been in constant communication with a lot of the groups and making accommodations in some of the other fields like Stevenson Field, where we're using for soccer right now, and softball field we're using for soccer as well. So, we're working closely with Public Works. Unfortunately, they're not comfortable right now pinning down a specific date. And when we do get closer to that date, then we will let everybody know. And so, if you have any questions specifically on campus, I can answer those.
Only because I'm curious, did the soils condition change in the last 10 years? I mean, if it was good enough the first time, why would it be different this time?
That was a big question, and the Public Works Department, the director, the engineers, they went back in the files from 10 years ago, and there was nothing indicating that this condition existed. And so that's, one of the reasons why we didn't anticipate that to happen.
What was the condition?
Basically just moisture in the soil, and it caused concern on whether or not we would get the compaction needed to lay the turf properly.
And what was the solution?
There were various solutions that were outlined by the contractor, ranging from do nothing and cross your fingers, or spend $500,000 and go through both fields and mix cement into them, and over the course of a 2-month period. So we landed not even in the middle, closer to almost an experiment that we wanted to try and open up some of the areas in the dirt and just let it dry out. And luckily we had warm weather, and that was enough to make them feel comfortable to proceed with the compaction, and that took 3 weeks.
So I think that tells me that the soil is holding water at times that it rains, right? So there must be something down. So I'm just trying to think of, will this condition come back if it rains?
Right.
But no one ever noticed it, so even if it does, would we care?
Right, and we've had heavy rains, particularly right before the turf project started, and we have never had any drainage or pooling issues on the field surface. So, some people think that it's been covered by this plastic membrane for 10 years, so it doesn't really breathe and air out. So, are there possibly some small leaks and cracks in there? That's a possibility. I guess the composition of the soil plays into it as well. It's kind of clay soil, and we think that that as long as we can lay the turf, and that's why it's also taking longer, is that we're doing it a little bit slower. They're using less equipment, making extra precautions to make sure that they don't disturb that sub base.
Well, from my perspective, which is just mine, it's worth the wait to get it right.
That's the goal. Is we certainly don't want to be in a position in a year or two finding major issues with the playability of the field.
And we're doing just fine on Brett.
I just have one question. So, with how far they've come with the work, if it rained tomorrow or Wednesday of next week, would that postpone the work again?
I don't think so. I think I didn't go out there this afternoon, but they should. They're almost done with the west field, and I think all of the turf, or almost all of the turf, will be down in the next day or two on the east field.
Just real quick, you mentioned that the solutions were everything from do nothing, which I assume had a $0 impact, to concrete, which is $500. What did it end up falling basically around in upcharge from the contract?
I don't know the number. It might be close to zero.
Okay.
But really, it was a waiting period.
Okay.
Right, that was the biggest.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody up here? Go ahead.
Great. Let's see. I wanted to also bring to your attention something in the report that I wanted to expand on. Is the capital park improvement project. Last night, the City Council did approve the next fiscal year's budget, which is our fiscal year 17-18. It begins on October 1st. And part of that budget was some of the projects. Actually, the hockey rink was approved again at $80,000, so we gained $10,000 there. But one thing that I had raised to the City Council is that we don't have a mechanism currently to set aside money over the years for large projects like playground replacements or replacing softball bleachers or 20 picnic tables at once. Those large purchases or improvement projects, we didn't have that mechanism over the years to set aside money to accumulate. And so we found ourselves every year going to request these large amounts of money, and the process that the city goes through right now to rank those capital projects, usually we're up against things like street replacements and seismic retrofitting of the fire station, things like that have higher priority, mainly because of safety or risk. And I felt that was something that needed to be addressed. And I think we have a drop in the bucket. We're making progress with finance on how to schedule those funds to accumulate over the years. So starting next year, we're going to be able to do that. And then also, City Council did allocate $200,000 to our department to come back to them after utilizing this body, the commission, and also engagement with the community on identifying some important projects and ranking them and prioritizing them, and coming back to the City Council with recommendations to basically get something done this year. $200,000, we know. Could be a lot of little projects, could be one big project, but that'll be up to this commission to help us decide what to take in front of City Council. So I'm looking forward to that. It's something that I know during that annual report conversation we talked about helping to prioritize some of those goals for the future and identifying some areas that really need help. And I welcome any sort of suggestions on how to move forward with that process, but probably want to get going on assessing our options and projects really soon.
Would you want a subcommittee? Would you want two of us to work with you? I mean, have you thought?
I think that's definitely a good option in the beginning to talk about how to proceed and what's the best sort of plan of action. And I think the community would like to be involved. We can certainly do walkthroughs on the facilities and start really taking a close look. From far away, you walk through the park and it looks beautiful. It's green, it's mowed, it's trimmed up. But once you get real close with some of the facilities, you'll definitely see that they're aging.
Excuse me. With that new budget, had they reinstated the campus turf replenishment project? I mean, we had talked about that, 4 years ago, where it kind of fell by the wayside in budget talks. Did that get reinstated, or is that still in discussion?
Well, that'll be fairly automatic, I guess. It will add the turf to the equipment replacement list and estimate what it might cost in 8 years to replace, and then that would accumulate funding over the years.
Because we had that fund in 4 or 5 years ago, correct? And
right, and the fund still existed throughout the years. The City Council during the recession decided not to fund those years, and that's why we weren't at the mark.
So those funds aren't going back into that project at this point.
I guess I'm not understanding what the question is. We
have
start
the
at
fund,
zero.
and they fund it each and every year.
Uh-huh.
They haven't funded it in the last 5 years, I believe. Are they going to fund it for this coming year?
Specifically for Campus El Segundo? That's fully funded for this
I'm talking
specific
about
project.
the future.
We start at
as we
zero.
move on. I mean, as we put this turf down, we're on the clock.
We'll start at zero.
And are they going to put I think in the past it was $200,000 or
It was $100,000 a year.
It was
for 10
$100,000.
years.
Is that in the budget for this coming year?
That I can find out for you.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry not to being clear.
We knew where you were going.
I eventually got there.
Yeah. Dave, did you have another question?
No, I guess.
What I can do is put it on the agenda for next
Yes.
month, and then we can talk more in detail about it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess, is there anything we can do? Do you want us to go faster than that? Right? I mean, what's the.
You know, I've had a preliminary discussion with Bob, and we are going to walk the park probably before the next meeting, actually next week, I think we decided. And so if anybody would like to do that, either one-on-one or two-on-one, we can do that.
Is the thought that the 200 is entirely for recreation park, or is it for all of recreation parks?
It is for anything in our department.
Okay, so you're walking rec park. Are you walking all the facilities that you might consider adding to the list, or just rec park?
Not in one day.
That'd be a lot, yeah.
But yeah,
over time, yes.
That's the goal for me personally, is to walk as many as we can, and then, but however we decide to go from there. Go ahead.
One of the suggestions that I'd have is in the Waka Rec Park, which is obviously the hallmark of the community, is, you know, in discussion we talk about some of the other things. You know, I'm obviously game to talk about what Eurosari is eventually going to need. Is it going to go on the list as a number one priority? Probably not. But there's a lot of different things, you know, all the way from shade to restrooms to hedges, you know, a whole bunch of things that we look at for a priority list for this fund. And it would be nice to see it all in one group. You know, as we saw tonight, we saw, you know, inline hockey, who appears to run a pretty good program and has some serious needs and seems to have money allotted. But at some point, you know, I'd love to see kind of a priority list.
Right.
Would it be possible to get us a list of the parks or the sites of all the places? And then, I mean, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to be a contributing member if I don't physically go to each spot and can speak intelligently on it, but I'm not sure if I know them all. So
right,
can we get a list of maybe all the parks or all the spaces?
We can. You
just,
know, at the end
over
of
the
this,
next couple months, just
right at the end, we have a list of all of the parks, and we have a fairly good list of inventory of equipment, and we can eventually have a nice little package that has all of the sites, you know, the large equipment, and even the year, you know, particularly for playgrounds, maybe the year they were installed, and things like that.
And then I think I heard you kind of mention that probably community involvement at some point in this process as well. That's, I think, what council has wanted as well, right? So we'll figure that out as we go,
right,
with the subcommittee or whoever. Okay, cool, awesome, that's great.
Anybody else? Meredith, still going?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very
Talking
much
all
for
more
that
questions.
report. What was that?
Oh, nothing. Just making fun of myself.
Oh, okay. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Farfan.
Welcome, Darren. Thank you guys so much for the presentations, and we're looking forward to celebrate.
Okay. Commissioner Pierce is not here. Commissioner Lubes.
Thank you. Welcome. Keep up the good work. Verbatim on that one.
Vice Chairperson Davis. Wow, got to turn the mic on.
And once again, welcome. I'm glad to hear you're from Culver City. It's last worked in Culver City, and I spent a lot of my youth swimming over in that community, and they did a really nice job with a number of things. So I'm glad to have you here. I love to hear that the aquatics camp came in. That's one of the aquatics programs that really starts our youth into the programs and gives them an overview, getting splash on some of the stuff. I've had talks with Ryan about really trying to start programs with limited space, and we're challenged currently, but as it expands, wonderful to hear. Other things I like to hear is that we had the cross country having goals to expand and come up with better ideas so that we can give these kids a better experience within our community. So I look forward to seeing us try to figure out ways to make it work for him as well. And other than that, very much.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Darren. Great to have you here and see your faces and give us a little insight of what's going on. And the only other thing I have is I want to congratulate Bill Raposa on his retirement in 32 years working for the city. I'm sure he's gone already. Retirement was beginning of the month? Anyway, good guy. Thank you. And now we'll go to public communications. Seeing none, we'll close public communications. And we will adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, October 18th, 2017 at 6 p.m. Thank you.